Today we've got another huge shoe battle on our hands. In one corner we have the rather unassuming and more budget-friendly Adidas Adios 6s. And in the other corner we've got the heavyweight champion of Adidas running shoes. We've got the Adidas Adios Pro 2s. But which one of these Adidas shoes will come out on top in today's running shoe battle? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh, and here we talk all things triathlon and running, whether those be vlogs, training tip videos, or shoe reviews like today. If any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below and like the video if you're enjoying it, as both of those really help out the channel. So yes, today we've got another shoe battle on our hands, but we're going Adidas versus Adidas today, and these two shoes might not be ones you'd expect to be compared. They vary greatly in cost and proposed use cases, but I think there are some really interesting comparisons to be made here that might make you reconsider which shoes you are buying. So let's jump straight into comparing these shoes with some general stats. Starting with the Adios 6s, these come in my men's UK size 9 at 231 grams. And in this shoe we have 27mm of stack in the heel and 90mm in the forefoot, giving us a 8mm drop. Compared to the Adios Pro 2s, these come in at a lighter 210 grams. So they are 21 grams lighter, so around 10% lighter than the Adios 6s. They also have a slightly more aggressive drop, so we have 39mm of stack in the heel, so considerably more in the heel, and we only have 29 in the forefoot, giving us a 10mm drop compared to the 6 in the Adios 6s. But with those basic stats out of the way, let's chat about the uppers of these two incredible running shoes. Starting with the Adios 6, and in these one we've got a more kind of traditional running upper is the way I would describe it. We've still got an engineered mesh, but there's a lot more support in the upper of this shoe. We've got many of these orange plastic bands going through the upper to add lockdown and add support to this upper. We also have some suede panels, and we've got a lot more padding in this shoe than we have on the Adios Pro 2s. The heel collar is quite nicely padded. It reminds me of a Saucony Endorphin Speed, for instance, and the tongue is incredibly similar in both of these shoes, but they both have the appropriate amount of padding, in my opinion, for what I like for a more kind of upper and fast-paced shoe. Comparing that to the Pro 2s, this is a completely different upper. In this one we have this really kind of thin plastic kind of mesh. It's not a weave, it's not really like anything else on the market at the moment, but we do have these kind of blue bits going through the upper that add support just like the ones on the Adios 6s. However, that's where the comparisons swap. We've got no suede pieces, no extra detailing. We've got an extra bit of plastic over the forefoot. We've got some reinforced plastic bits around the laces, but apart from that, there is not much extra in this shoe. We've got significantly less padding in the heel. We've only got two really thin pieces of padding either side of the Achilles, but like I said, that tongue is pretty much identical, maybe with a little bit thinner and a little bit less padding in the Adios Pro 2s. Out both of these shoes in my men's UK size 9, and I think the fit is true to size and very similar in both of these shoes. When comparing the lockdown of these two shoes, I think the Adios 6 might come out slightly ahead. I think the extra material, the slightly thicker padding on the tongue, definitely helps improve the lockdown in this shoe compared to what feels like a slightly more flimsy, slightly more delicate upper in the Pro 2s. However, that lockdown might be improved by the heel collar, which is significantly better, in my opinion, in the Adios 6s. And I've talked about this in a number of my Adios Pro 2 reviews. The heel collar in this shoe isn't quite the way that I like it. I really need a little bit more support around the Achilles in this shoe, and maybe if you are having problems with other shoes that are pressing on your Achilles and causing you pain, this might be the super shoe for you. But I like it a little bit more built up, a little bit more comfortable, and I think the Adios 6s, when it comes to comfort and lockdown in both the midfoot and the heel, definitely wins in this battle. And I think that extra weight coming in this shoe, especially from that upper, is well worth it because it is quite a bit more comfortable and the lockdown is quite a bit better in the cheaper shoe in this scenario. Next, let's talk about the midsoles of this shoe. I think that's where they become really, really different. In the Adios 6s, we've got a lot going on. They really have got a bit of everything when it comes to Adidas running shoe technology. Throughout the whole length of the shoe, you've got this slightly lighter, slightly whiter foam, and that is the normal Light Strike. Definitely not as soft and bouncy as the Light Strike Pro foam, however, more durable, and I think it really does suit certain types of runners. In the forefoot of this shoe, we've got some Light Strike Pro foam. This is a slightly cream one, going all the way through the forefoot, and it actually does come out on the bottom of the forefoot as well. This is Adidas's top tier foam, and I think it really adds a lot of bounce to the forefoot of this shoe. And then also as part of the midsole, we have one of Adidas's favorite things to put in shoes, a plastic torsion plate. So it comes from here and goes up either side of the shoe. This adds some rigidity to the shoe without being quite as rigid and expensive as some carbon plates. Now onto the midsole of the Pro 2s, and here we've only got Light Strike Pro, and significantly more of it as well. We've got over 10 millimeters of more stack in the heel and in the forefoot. This large wad of Light Strike Pro is augmented by those energy rods, those carbon rods supposed to follow the metatarsals of your feet, making the shoe in theory more comfortable and improving the energy return and snappiness of this elite racing shoe. But how do these two midsole monsters match up? Well, I think if you're looking for a really soft, responsive ride, then the Pro 2s definitely come out on top. Having Light Strike Pro foam throughout the whole midsole here definitely makes them a slightly softer ride, and I think definitely improves the energy return of the shoe. However, I don't think you should discount the Adios 6s simply because the midsole isn't quite as soft as the Pro 2s. The lower stack and the slightly firmer foams in this shoe definitely make it feel more responsive and somehow slightly more snappy, even though this is the shoe with carbon energy rods in. I think the midsoles in these shoes start to dictate where they are going to be best use. I think the slightly lower stack, slightly more responsive and snappy feeling Adios 6s really excel at shorter distances. If you're racing a 5k or a 10k, I would really consider this shoe when compared to some of the marathon racing options. Although it is slightly heavier, that isn't going to impact you as much in a shorter distance, simply because you're not carrying that weight around for as long. And you might benefit from a slightly firmer ride, being really responsive, really snappy at that higher pace. Whereas a nice, soft, enjoyable, comfy ride might do you better over those half marathon and marathon races, as you might need to baby the legs for the first 20 miles of those 26 miles races. You could also think of these midsoles as alter egos. We've got a more training focused, more durable one in the Adios 6s for those training sessions, those tempo, those threshold runs, and we've got the kind of proper race shoe, proper in quotation marks, in the Pro 2s, where you want to save all of that Light Strike Pro for those race days. However, I think you could probably race and train in both of these. There isn't a lot of difference in these midsoles, and I think it mainly comes down to personal preference. Do you like high stack soft shoes, or do you find them slightly uncomfortable and slightly unstable? If that's the case, then the Adios 6s might be better than their more expensive and more race focused, elite focused counterparts. It's really hard to pick a winner in the midsole of this shoe. As you can see, I've been procrastinating for quite a while. If I could only have one of these shoes for both training and racing when it came to the midsoles, the Adios 6s would be my first choice, 100%. These are amazing, super durable. I think they are the shoes that I will run in, and I've already run in significantly more than my Pro 2s. However, when I'm racing a half marathon or a marathon, the Pro 2s are going to be the ones that I will pick out every single time. So finally, let's talk about the outsoles of this shoe. We've got the Adios 6s and the Pro 2s, and they're really, really similar, like most running shoe outsoles. In this case, we have continental rubber in both of these shoes. In the Adios 6s, we've got a slatted design, reaching all the way back through the heel, and in the Pro 2s, we've got a flat, quite thin amount of rubber in the forefoot with tiny little holes cut out to reduce the weight. And we've got the typical super shoe heel, just 2 pieces of rubber in the heel. Although these running shoe outsoles look incredibly different, I think they feel incredibly similar. Both have great traction across pavement, tarmac, and some gravel paths that I've taken it on, and I've run it in the rain in both of these shoes and I've had absolutely no problems. I might argue that the outsole in the Adios 6s is slightly more durable, however that does add a little bit of weight, so it depends on what you need from your running shoes. Overall, I'm going to call it a draw on the outsoles simply because they are so similar. So finally, let's talk about the value propositions of these two shoes. The Adios 6s currently retail at £110 full price, whereas the Adios Pro 2s currently retail at £70 more at £180. I think part of the value propositions of both these shoes is how much use you're going to get out of them, how durable they are, and what you're going to use them for. I think the Adios 6s are definitely a more versatile shoe than the Pro 2s. I think you can use these for racing, for training, for long runs, for pretty much anything other than easy runs you want to do. And I think they're going to be significantly more durable than the Pro 2, simply because this has more soft foam in it, and we've historically seen that the softer the foam, the quicker it is to wear out, where that Lightstrike Pro foam in the Adios 6s was almost protected, in my opinion, by that Lightstrike normal foam. And to top it all off, this shoe being £70 cheaper means that, in my opinion, it's definitely the better value proposition of the two shoes. However, if you're looking to chase those PBs and you need a shoe simply for racing in, then the Pro 2 is going to be the choice every single time. It's tough to say which one of these shoes is better. I think if I could only own one of these shoes, my choice would be the Adios 6s, simply because they are so versatile, such good value, and such good use in those training sessions. However, I'm in the incredibly fortunate position where I can choose whichever shoe I think is strictly best, and for racing and for really good high quality long runs leading up to race, the Pro 2s are going to be my first choice. So it's down to you, the viewer. What do you need more in your running rotation? Do you need something you're simply going to use for races, or do you need something you can both race and train in? Then that would be the Adios 6s. Like I said, if I could only have one of these, the Adios 6s would be my first choice. But let me know how you've got on with these shoes down in the comments below. Have you run in both of them? Which one would you pick up? Which one are you going to pick up if you're considering? Let me know down in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button, as it really helps push this video through the YouTube algorithm to more runners. If you want to see more running and triathlon videos, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. But for now, I'll say goodbye and I'll see you in the next episode.